Hello, and I'm going to preface this video by saying this video is for anyone that is just getting started with film photography and people that are looking to either get their first camera or have got their first camera and are looking to shoot their first roll of film. I'm going to talk you through some basic stuff that I think is important, and this is coming from someone who has worked in photographic retail for the last 9 years and has seen all the mistakes that people have made, and this should hopefully won't cover everything but will cover the basics for how to get your first shots correct, or what to look for and things to do and not to do when you're starting to shoot film. So hopefully you enjoy that. If you are up to date on your film knowledge, if you have any useful tips or tricks or advice and things that you think people should know, put those down in the comments. This is pretty much just like an educational how-to, sort of. Getting used to it. Yeah, you'll be fine. So, hello, I'm Max. This is my channel. Let's start at the beginning. So, film photography is very much in fashion at the moment. It's very, very popular for a good reason. It's very, very cool. The thing that puts people off is the price, but when you look at the price of a brand new digital camera, film is cheap. So yeah, here we are. First off, getting a camera. So there are a number of different options for getting film cameras, and there are a number of different types of film camera. Different film cameras will have different pros and cons depending on what you want to shoot, the style you want to shoot, how you want to get into it, things like that. So what most people will pick up first is something like this. This is a Canon SureShot A1. This is what's called a point and shoot camera because it's autofocus, auto exposure. The camera is doing all of the work, which is lovely. You can just point it and shoot it. Just half press, it focuses, you full press, it shoots. You don't need to worry about anything, which is lovely. And they're really, really good little cameras if they work. Bear in mind, most of these are getting on for 30 years old now, if not more. So they can break down. I've covered in the past things to look for with cameras that are good to look for, things to look out for when you're buying a film camera. There are a number of ways to buy film cameras, but what I personally recommend as someone that works in photographic retail is going to a true, honest to God camera shop and talking to people. It sounds scary, but it's worth it. You'll probably pay a little bit more than you would normally if you were just buying it, say, on eBay, but you've got that reassurance. Hopefully it comes with a warranty. Hopefully you're not paying astronomically more, but you'll have someone to talk to and talk you through the basics of the camera and what to sort of expect and how to load it and batteries and things like that. The camera should be checked, which is good. So hopefully from them, if you buy from a retailer, they will have checked the camera, they'll know that it works, and that should be a good place to start. Buying on places like Facebook Marketplace or eBay, or if you just find one, or charity shops, things like that are good because they will be cheaper, but you always have that risk that the camera won't work. So what I would recommend is photographic retailers first. Second, if you buy a camera, take that camera to a photographic retailer and ask them to check it. Just because different models have different quirks and things like that, and some will break down more easily than others, just get it checked, because there's no reason. It's the worst feeling when you pick up a camera, you put a roll of film in it, you shoot the whole roll, it comes out blank, even though you know you did everything else right. So the first most important thing, get a camera that works. Even if it costs you a little bit more money, it will be worth it just for your own sanity. Trust me, there's nothing more infuriating than getting a roll of film back that is completely blank. So with that out of the way, compact cameras, really, really good if you just want that kind of 90s, late 80s, like poppy aesthetic. Really, really good just because they do everything. If you want to take slightly more control of your photography, say, not just learn the basics of exposure, aperture, shutter speed, ISO. If you want to do that and you want to have interchangeable lenses and a different sort of build into a system, essentially if you want to be more creative with your photography, then you'll be looking at something like this. Now, this is what's called an SLR camera, where the lenses come off, they're fully interchangeable. Different lenses will give you essentially different effects and they will change the way your photo looks. The SLR stands for single lens reflex. It takes one lens, that light is reflected on this mirror in here, as you can see, mirror there. That then bounces light into a prism, which then comes out the back here. So you can focus the image, frame the image, and you've got a bit more control over what you're actually going to get because you can see what the final image will look like. Every time you take a photo, that mirror will go up and the lens will expose the film to light, essentially. There's going to be more to think about because there's some models will have sort of automatic features, some models won't. There's a lot more variance than there is with the point and shoot cameras. Different lenses will have different pros and cons, different models, different bodies, different manufacturers will have their own quirks and different ways of doing things. Again, previous to the last thing, if you can buy from a retailer, buy from a retailer. If you can get a warranty, that's great. If you can't do that, again, just get it checked by a retailer. Most will be happy to do that. It's really not a problem and it's always quite fun to see cameras and have a little play with them. Again, this can be used fully automatic. So apart from the focus, so depending on the model, you will be able to get some that will do fully automatic and some will have autofocus, some will have completely automatic metering, some will be manual focus only with automatic metering, some will be fully mechanical, fully manual exposures, fully manual focusing, things like that. You have the control and you have the option to then expand into that system later down the line. With all of these, they will all, if you get a 35mm camera, which is the important part, that's the standard film you can get. There are a lot of different film formats and there are a lot of differences between those formats. If you can get something that's 35mm, which was the most common and is the most common, you should be fine as long as the camera works. What I would absolutely not recommend is spending more than £200 on your first camera, because chances are the first camera you buy will not be the one you keep forever. You will end up buying another camera which will serve your purposes better. And what I would unequivocally not recommend is dropping £5,000 on a Leica system, which is a rangefinder, and I would completely disregard that. Just completely ignore the idea of getting any sort of premium 35mm camera. They are not beginner cameras. They are that expensive for a reason. They are designed for people that already have that pre-existing knowledge of film and exposure and things like that. Yes, you can buy one, but I guarantee you will A, either be disappointed, B, be very confused by what it offers, and C, will probably be put off film photography, not just by the expense, but also by just the act of using it. That's not to shit on Leica cameras. They are phenomenal cameras, but they are not beginner cameras. And in the last few years, people have seemed to be using them as accessories, and that's not what they are. They are image making machines, and they are more advanced image making machines. They look pretty, yes, but there's a lot more information that you need to acquire just on the basics of film and using film before picking one of those up. Again, every camera is different and every person that shoots film is different, and there's going to be a camera that will suit you perfectly. And going straight for loads of people's dream camera doesn't mean it's going to be your dream camera. It may not be the right camera for you. There's no way of knowing, but chances are it's not going to be the camera for you. And it's one that I've seen people buy really expensive cameras and have no clue how to use them. And yeah, it kind of, you can see it breaking their heart when they, just don't know anything. So £200 is a good budget, I think, for, you'll get a decent camera and it should be working, and you should get a warranty because you bought it from a photographic retailer. So yeah, that's kind of my recommendation on that part. 35mm film will come in a little canister like this. This is a dummy roll, so this has already been exposed to light. However, when you get it, take it out of the pot, your film is contained in this little canister. So this is a light tight canister, metal canister, with film inside of it. Now this is the film. So this side here is sensitive to light. It will react to light, and it needs to be exposed with very specific settings normally in order to get a usable image. Now, because it is light tight and because the film is light sensitive, do not pull the film all the way out of the canister. There is always a little bit of extra film at the start so that you can load your camera, but don't just pull the whole film out, because once you pull the whole film out, the film is ruined because it's all exposed to light. That's a very important thing to know. Loading cameras will vary from model to model. Again, no correct way to do it, but if you have picked up a camera, the best piece of advice I can give you is read the manual. You'll be able to find it online, free to download. So read the manual. They're really mind-numbingly boring reads, but you will understand how your camera operates and what you need to do in order to get photos, which at the end of the day is what everyone wants. So don't just pull the film all the way out. Don't just keep pulling it and pulling it. That will ruin the film. Once you've loaded this in the camera, you will then have to close the back door of the camera. Now, different cameras again will operate in different ways. Some will automatically advance the film. Some you'll have to manually advance the film. But the general rule is once you've closed the back, don't reopen it. Whatever you do, do not open the back. If you open the back of the camera while there is film in the camera, you will expose that film to light and you will then lose the photos on the film that's out. So yeah, don't do that. There are three major types of film. We're sticking with 35mm. This is a roll of color negative film or color print film or C41 film. That's got different names. This will give you, when developed, this will give you a negative image of what you captured. So bright objects will appear dark and dark objects will appear bright. That's not what your photo will look like. Your photo, normally when you send it away to be developed or scanned or printed, they will invert the colors in order to give you a positive image. So an image where the colors look correct. The other common type of film is black and white film. So black and white negative or just black and white film is going to be black and white, and again is a negative, so we'll give you an inverse of the image that you have captured. If you want to shoot black and white, get black and white. If you want to shoot color, get color. There are some black and white films that will process in C41 machines, so find out what processing options you have and how much they will cost before you buy a roll of film. Find out if you have a C41 lab nearby that you can send film to, find out how much they charge, and then find out what films you can send them. Find out what film sort of will best suit you. What I would generally recommend for people who are just testing a camera or just starting, if you can send the film away for C41 processing, I would recommend Ilford XP2. So this will give you black and white images, but is processed in a C41 color chemistry machine. That will normally take the price of developing down, and the film will be more affordable than color negative film usually. It's a good film just to give you a baseline for if the camera's operating, and is normally a more affordable way to do that than spending £20, £25 on a roll of Portrait 400, which is a professional film, burning through that to find out the camera doesn't work. Third and final type of film is called slide film or positive film. Now, there aren't many of these made anymore. If you find expired rolls of film, there's a good likelihood that it could be a slide film or it could be a color negative film. I would avoid slide film, especially if you're just starting, just because it's a little bit more temperamental and it's a little bit more finicky to get the exposures correctly. So in order to get an image to show up on the film, you need to get pretty much bang on the right settings. It also will be a lot more expensive to get processed. So there's, again, nothing worse than shooting a roll of film, taking it to a lab, and then saying, well, this is going to be £30 to process and scan because it's slide film and we don't do slide film very often. If you can, stick with C41 processing film. Again, if you're unsure which film exactly, ask in the comments. I will probably try and put some links to films in the comments as well, in the description, just so you can see some examples of what films are good if you're just starting and what films are going to be sort of ideal if you're just loading your first roll. And yeah, the other important thing about film is that it needs to be processed in order for you to see the images. You will not see the images if you just pull the film out. That does not happen. The images are chemically essentially burnt into the film, and in order to reveal them, they need to go through a chemical process to reveal them. The images aren't on the film when you shoot it, so don't just pull the film out. The images won't be there and you'll have just lost all the images that you've just shot. When it comes to developing, there are normally going to be a couple of options. So either you can just get dev only, develop only, where you just get the negatives back. So you just get the inverted images on the film back. Unless you have a scanner or an enlarger, that's no use to you. So really what you want is probably going to be scans. So ask for scans or digital files, and you will get digital images either emailed to you or on a memory stick or a CD, and you'll get digital files that are the correct colors and will show all your photos in all of their glory. Yes, you can do it yourself, but again, if you're just starting, I would recommend letting someone else do that. Focus on the image taking first, focus on just getting used to the camera and the idea of handling film, and then maybe later down the line, then you can look into that. That's another option. But yeah, just for starting, I'd say don't forget you need to process and develop your images. Very important step, kind of essential in order to see the images. There's always going to be that thing of cost. Yes, it will cost money, but just think, if you want to buy a digital camera nowadays, yes, you can take unlimited photos, but that's £1,000 just straight up. That's £1,000 on a camera and hopefully one lens. And film is probably going to be £10–20 a roll, and the developing is probably going to be £10–20 a roll. So you have to shoot a hell of a lot of film to get to that point, and you will learn a lot doing it. I want to touch quickly on new film cameras. So the new film cameras that are being produced are things that are essentially glorified disposable cameras or single-use cameras. So cameras where you take your photos, you hand the camera to the lab, they take the camera, you get the photos back, you don't get the camera back. The camera is single use. So the current, sort of the most popular range of cameras at the moment are going to be these single reusable disposable cameras, which in theory should be more eco-friendly, but it's worth bearing in mind that the single-use disposable cameras are the only thing that's not recycled from those is the film itself, which you get back from the lab. Reusable disposable cameras are okay to start with, but can often be quite disappointing. There's a few limitations to them. So the quality of the lens normally isn't very good. The flash, normally you have to be the one that turns the flash on, not really options for automatic flash and things like that. And they seem to be fiddly to load just because they're using very basic systems inside, and they're very poorly made and they don't last very long. So what I recommend, again, I know this is going to be more expensive, but buying a tested and working film camera and going to someone like a film camera shop and talking to people will be infinitely better than just taking a gamble online. YouTube is a good resource, as you're finding out now, and there are people talking about cameras all over the place, not just including myself, but you'll be able to find people that give 35mm film recommendations camera recommendations, compact camera recommendations, SLR recommendations, it will all be covered. And it's a lot of information. It is a lot of information. I fully understand that. I've gone through the same learning curve as most of you will hopefully go through, because once you get through it, it's fucking lovely. It's lovely once you get through it. You can pick up any camera pretty much and you can go and shoot and take amazing photos. When you're getting started, it can feel like a really, really, really steep, almost vertical uphill battle getting your first film developed and getting photos from that. So yeah, this has been some information. There will be more information to come, as I've just mentioned, but I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found this useful. If this helps at least one person get a roll of film developed with photos on it, that would be amazing. If that's you, comment, let me know. That'll make my day. If you have any questions, even if you think they're stupid questions, please, 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 please put them in the comments and I will be more than happy to answer them, especially if you think they're stupid questions. Ask the questions, it's so, so useful. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching and having the patience to sit through this. If you like the video, please like it. If you really like the video, then you can subscribe. That does help. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in another video.